Guys, I finally got it. I finally got the milk. What year is it? Oh, hi there. It's been a while. Basically, 5 months ago, I ended my last stream and just left. For which, I'm sorry, okay? There is kind of a reason for this, which I've covered in the main channel in like a 2-part video series, so check it out if you're interested. However, it's not just been busy work, I've also gone to the mystical land of Japan, where you're constantly being bombarded by people, all sorts of street lights, and even more people, where at any point in time you can be attacked by dragons, or birds hunting for food, where the cars on the street may look like luxury Mercedes, or big Fiat Pandas, but in reality they all turn out to be Toyotas. But who really cares about that? Because if there's one thing that Japan is known for, it is their handhelds. Now, in my PS video, I've spoken about how important handhelds were for me while growing up. And my very first introduction to gaming handhelds was a Nintendo DS Lite. I very clearly remember this thing laying on a table like this and just looking at it and being amazed at how elegant it looked. And then you open it up and you had the 2 screens, which was just absolutely unheard of in the age when phones basically just looked like this. It was the very first gaming handheld that I'd ever gotten new, and also would be for a while, because we'd gotten a game called Mario and Sonic on the Olympic Games, which is by far the worst DS game ever made for competitive people. This right here is how our DS turned out. If you have a game where you have to get out your stylus and go and run very fast like this, mash the A button like this, your device is not really gonna like that at all. Because of this, the next 2 handhelds that I would get would both be second-hand, where I do have to say that if you want to buy a device when it's still kind of uncool, like you can get some really good deal. Like how I got this Gameboy color in the time when the DS Lite was all the rage, and how I would get the PS Vita back in the time when everyone was worrying about the Apple, Galaxy, Samsung, Vivo, G smartphone, whatever, and this thing was just kind of left by the wayside. Back then, no one was really collecting these things. However, now, if you want to get one of the more older consoles, you're going to be paying a pretty hefty price. And that's because, well, they're simply not around anymore. Or at least, that's what they say here. Because when I went to Japan, oh boy, would you look at this. They got tons of PS1s, PS2s, SNES, Famicoms. It's like, you can't get these things in Europe anymore. A lot of people say that you can go to Japan and shop really cheap. But if you're going to run into the store for the very first time, they're going to have models on display. And these things, they're not going to be cheap at all. If you want to have the cheap stuff, you need to go to the back of the store, which is called the junk section. Even though you can see right here, it's clearly marked as junk, all this stuff still looks sort of okay. And having heard how Japanese people tend to take care of their things, I was willing to take the chance. Let's start out with this thing right here. The original Nintendo DS. Oh boy, have I wanted to have one for such a long time. With my introduction to handhelds being basically the Nintendo DS, this always had a very special place in my heart. Because even though this was the original one, this one was the one that everyone had. If I was the tech reviewer at the time, there would barely be anything positive that I would have to say about this thing here. Because if you look at how much thinner it is, how narrow the gap is between the 2 screens, and if you just look at the overall design theory of this thing compared to this thrown together piece of, like, is this like a Game Boy Advance bridge? Like what is this? But even though you could have told me all these things, as a kid, this felt like a battle station. If you had one of these like Game Boy cartridges in the DS here, like you had to take this out, put it in there, and it just looked derpy. But then you look at this thing here, and it apparently would go all the way. I guess I'm in for a treat. I'm actually really surprised at how well it feels to hold it in your hand. You have a much bigger D-pad. I think I actually prefer this one. And then you have your power button. So let's take out the cartridge and let's just see what it does. Ooh. I have to find the stylus, which will be here somewhere. I think it's supposed to be here. That is a lot different shape than I expected. And here we are. This looks very much like a DS. I guess that software-wise, it's not as special as I thought. But hardware-wise, it is really cool. Let's move on to the next thing, which is in the same vein, a Nintendo Game Boy. Oh man, do these things look alike. I said that this hinge kind of reminded me of the Game Boy hinge, and I wasn't far off. I always liked this. Most of the time they would be in this color, and then they would have like an entire graphic on here. And then it was just so small. It was so tiny. It felt like the future. I've prepared a Pokemon version. Let's just see if this works, because this again was cheap like this thing. It had like something with the screen. I guess we just power it on and all right, let's see if we give you some juice. Okay, will you do something without the game? I guess we should just open it up and see what's going on. We need a normal screw over here, the weird Nintendo one, and oh, is that just a battery? I'm gonna try something. Dude, if this is gonna be a battery thing, who knows? Who knows? A light comes on. Let's see what the screen's like. Ah, are you seeing the same thing that I'm seeing? Because, I don't see anything wrong here. Guys, I guess I'm playing Pokemon. It was just the battery. I guess they just plugged it in, just like I did. Saw it flicker, thought it was the display, and then just put it on the shelf. I love junk like this. One thing I've always wondered about is the games, because one thing we've already seen is that this right here is the game size for the Game Boy Advance. And that's also the same thing that would fit right here in the Nintendo DS. But then if you took the Game Boy Color, this thing had these really big cartridges. Right when I got this, the very first thing I tried was take one of these and jam it right into one of these. And as you can see, that doesn't work. But I have heard that this thing does allow it, so let's give it a shot. Oh shit, let's give it a go. There we go, Pokemon Crystal. Anyway, for the sake of time, I do kind of have to move on with the third thing, which isn't a Nintendo thing, but instead a Sony thing. Back in the day, well, Nintendo was like smashing it with the Game Boy right here. Then Nintendo came out with the Nintendo DS, and there was basically nothing in the way of Nintendo dominance. But just as this thing comes out, Sony comes around and they released this thing right here, the PSP. This is a full-on content screen, 16 by 9, pretty high resolution I've heard, and basically the idea was that you could use this thing to game not only games that would look like TV games, but also use this to put movies on there, put music on there. This right here was supposed to be an absolute powerhouse of a handheld, and it's always looked super futuristic and high-tech to me, and I've always wanted one, especially since I did that PS Vita video and I got to look at the successor, which didn't do as well as this one, but yeah, this just got me so interested in like, what was the original like? We have an open thing, which you may wonder like, what can you open? Well, you can open the disc tray. Sony was thinking like, what is the worst format for you to carry around in your movable handheld? And they decided it is discs. Let's see if it even powers on. So where is that power button? There. Okay, it doesn't power up. What if it's a battery thing? It is a battery thing. Plug this in, throw this down, fire it up. It fires up. One thing you have to keep in mind is that with Japanese devices, X is back and circle is confirmed. If you're wondering why they do it the wrong way around, welcome to the club. The date is indeed just right here. Let's go with that. And whoa, that is like a PlayStation 3. It sounds like a PlayStation 3. We have Comic Reader, we have X-Reader Portable. What is that? There's no software available for this application. Comic Reader. Yeah, let's open up Comic Reader. There's no application software for this. There's nothing on here. It's basically all for services that are no longer around anymore. Also, that starts up super quick. But other than that, I'm absolutely amazed that all of this worked. I had all sorts of tools and things ready to go and repair these things if they were completely broken, but I guess they all worked. Now, I don't really know what it says about Japanese secondhand culture. Like whether you can just go to any junk section and have a good find like me. For the price I got these, like 20 bucks or so, I'm not complaining at all. Oh hey, just a quick intermission from me editing this video in the future. There's something I really want to show you. So remember how I said the price was really good? It was like 20 bucks. I actually thought it was kind of expensive because I remember these things being like 5 bucks or 2. I just went to look online to like find the one with the graphic. Like, look, that's it. That's the pattern. Everyone had one of these. I don't know what it meant. I don't know if that was an official Nintendo thing. But then I looked at that and then I looked over there and I saw that price and I was like, what? Look, they have one over here, which is all scratched up, which if you compare that to this thing right here, it's like, it's got a little mark over there, but other than that, it is perfectly fine. And then you look at this, and it's scratched, and it's like 90 bucks. I'm starting to think my 20 bucks was actually quite a good price. All that's left for me now is to go and give these things some playtime, and maybe in the future I'll make a video covering like what I think of these things and how you can make them even more future-proof by all sorts of mods and things that you might be able to do to these things. But with that said, there's one thing I kind of want to talk about when it comes to my content, which first of all has to do with the streams, which, oh yeah, they're coming back. Now, since things are a little bit uncertain for me right now, expect the streams to come around like 1 to 3 times a week. I'll make sure to like schedule them here on the channel on the Discord like the week in advance, so you kind of know what you're going to be in for. Speaking of knowing what you're going to be in for, it's been a while since I started doing these types of videos, where I sit right here at the desk and we do a scripted point of contact video where we take a look at like some tech within gaming or a game itself. Now, my idea behind this was to have like a more structured, fun way of exploring the gaming communities and the things out there, whilst remaining very similar to my main channel. And that That's become a bit of an issue for me, because right now we've done a video talking about gaming handhelds in Japan, and I'm kind of wondering, how different is that from the main channel? I mean, last year I did a video where I talked about MacBooks that I found and tried to restore, which all worked as well, and like just a week ago I talked about the Japanese IC card system, which have about as much to do with each other as they have to do with these Japanese handhelds. So that kind of makes me wonder, what is it that makes it unique on this channel that I post these videos here? I'm not saying that I want to get rid of them, but rather that I think that they may be better suited to go on the main channel, so that we free up space right here for videos that have actually their own identity. I'm thinking to do something a little bit more closer to like the stream stuff that we do, especially things that may be a little bit more frequent than what I've been recently putting out. So in the coming period, I'll be streaming a little bit more and trying some new content ideas, which may be a little bit more free-flowing and maybe a little bit less desky and structured as you're used to with these videos. So if you're down to experience that with me, I'd be more than happy to have you, and also hear from you like what you think. If you do like the other stuff a lot more, well, then just go to the main channel where we'll be continuing like basically the same thing, but I also will be including the gaming stuff in there as well, because I still really want to talk about these things, just not on like two channels with like some arbitrary division between them. So with that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.